Your favorite PGA and LPGA legends, pros and top instructors are right here every week on Next on the Tee. Join Chris as the greats of the game share their stories, insights and playing lessons. Now, back to Chris and more of the show.
All right, now back and making his sixth appearance with me here on Next on the Tee. Like I say, is my favorite author and one of my favorite individuals, period, and that is Keith Hirshland. Keith has become a wonderful friend over the last few years. He's an Emmy Award-winning TV producer. He's produced shows for ESPN Golf Channel. Keith was among the original people that started the Golf Channel back in 1995. He's also written 3 wonderful books. You've heard me talk about Cover Me Boys, I'm Going In, Tales of the Tube from a Broadcast Brat, which is my all-time favorite book. He's also written 2 great mysteries, Big Flies and The Flower Girl Murder, both of which have gotten rave reviews and are winning awards. It seems like just constantly, ever since the Flower Girl Murder book came out, it seems like it is a winning award. Been doing so now month after month. He's got a 4th book on the way, which we hope to hear more about, and I'm very excited he is back with me again tonight here on Next on the Tee. Good evening, Keith. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh, my gosh, Chris, thanks for having me. It's always great to be with you, and I'm just thrilled to be back with you again. And that was a great story about your escapades at Augusta this year, and I'm glad it all worked out. I was one of the ones on social media that was hoping that you were going to get most of the day in.
I appreciate you. Yeah, all the good vibes and the prayers came through for me, so I appreciate that very much, Keith. So, yeah. Keith, you always have so many exciting things going on with all of your books, and they're all absolutely spectacular, and I know you got a 4th one coming up here pretty soon. Catch us up with all the things that have been going on with you since we talked in the fall.
Yeah, it's actually, we had some pretty exciting news that had to do with Cover Me Boys, because as you know, I wrote that book. It took me about 5 years to write it, and completed it in the fall of 2013, and decided at the time, after talking to a couple of traditional publishers and a couple of agents, that the best route to go was to probably self-publish it, so we did that. But then, I guess, after we talked, a traditional publishing company called Beacon Publishing Group reached out to me and said, hey, we've read your book, Cover Me Boys, I'm Going In, and we'd like to partner with you and re-release it as, through our Beacon Publishing Group team. And, of course, we jumped at that chance. So as of February 1st, of this year, Cover Me Boys has been re-released by Beacon Publishing Group. So the folks that maybe didn't get a chance to read it when it first came out in 2013 or since, we're hoping get a new look at it and have a chance to hear some of the stories about my parents who were broadcasting pioneers, and then kind of my escapades in the broadcast business, working at local TV stations across the country, then at ESPN, then for Don Ohlmeyer, then at ESPN, and then ultimately at the Golf Channel for 18 years. So that was great. And as you said, we actually just finished book number 4 called Murphy and the Case of Serious Crisis. It's another mystery. And Beacon, thankfully, was more than willing to partner with us on that one. So it's in the hands of their editors right now, and they're going to take a look at it and give us some ideas and give us some thoughts, and then that'll be published probably in the not too distant future. And then one more, I'm going to ask you this live on the radio. I would be honored if you would allow me to use your name in book number 5 that I have just started putting pen to paper on. So if you don't mind, there will be a character in the next book named Chris Mascaro. How about that?
Oh, please do.
I can't tell you if he's a good guy or a bad guy yet, but.
Oh, no. Well, that's all right. All right. Either side's okay. Just don't make me do anything heinous. I can't have my name associated with anything heinous. All right. Very good. I appreciate you. Look forward to it. So, before we move off the books, Keith, Murphy, talk. What's the premise of this one? Because so many of the other 2, you like to take something that's actually happened and then give it an ending. So
right.
Talked in the Big Flies, was sort of a D.B. Cooper sort of book and how it actually might have ended. So talk about what the premise of Murphy is.
So there are a couple of things with Murphy. First of all, as the folks who are my friends and who have worked with me and for me in the past will know I'm a bit of a stickler for certain grammatical things. I abhor things like using the word All-American instead of All-America. I think that Ryder Cupper or Hall of Famer should never be used. They could, because in my opinion, they don't give enough importance to the title. They should be members of the Hall of Fame or Ryder Cup team members anyway. So, but like I said, the people who have worked for me and know me know my feeling on that. And the other thing I do not like is redundant phrases. So I thought I was going to write a book. My next book after Flower Girl Murder was going to be about a detective who also cannot stand redundant phrases, but just happens to be named Murphy. And he gets drawn into a case because he works in the police department, in the Department of Redundancy Department, and he gets called into a case of a rock and roll band called Serious Crisis, as if there is any other kind of crisis. So he solves the mystery of what happens when certain items that belong to the band Serious Crisis go missing. And along the way, I featured in the book somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 redundant phrases. So it would be fun, I thought, for readers to figure out which were the redundant phrases and how many there are. And our dear friend who's coming up next, Matthew Lawrence, plays a major role in the manuscript. He is of course a famous actor who his niece is in the rock band, and he gets involved in solving the mystery in various ways. So it's a mystery, but it's lighthearted, it's fun. I tried to make it entertaining and kind of, again, a little bit of a jab at all the people that tend to use redundant phrases.
So, knowing that Matthew is a character in the book, does Matthew get to play himself when there's a movie?
Well, Matthew can do anything he wants because I'm counting on him to be the one that takes it to Hollywood. So I would say that he would absolutely have to play himself in the movie because one of the characters, and seriously, I think I mentioned my son is in a rock band, and he said I like to draw on actual events and actual things as kind of the basis for a lot of what happens in my writing. So I took, the fact that my son's band, Post Animal, has been on tour, and he collaborated with me a little bit on some of the things and some of the terminology. But Matthew is actually, in the book, his character's name is Lawrence Matthews, but he actually was Matthew Lawrence because I refer to Eddie and the Cruisers a lot in the book, which of course Matthew starred in, and there's a bar in the book, and the movie Eddie and the Cruisers is constantly playing in the bar. So there's a whole bunch of references to Eddie and the Cruisers and Matthews and Matthew Lawrence. And so I had a lot of fun with it. And I think you'll like it. He's a good guy. I try to lead readers into thinking that he may not be a good guy for a long time, but I'll give it away and say that in the end, he's a good guy.
Ah, there you go. And Matthew will be the first one to brag to you that he is the world's greatest air guitarist. So, he may be lobbying to get back in the band, let alone play himself. So
there you go.
So, yeah, you got that. So, Keith, let's switch gears a little bit. And, as you mentioned, all the years that you were at the Golf Channel, and the Golf Channel does such a great job covering the Masters with their live from the Masters shows and that sort of thing. But I got to ask you, what was Masters Week like for you every year when it became Tournament Week?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was just, when you mentioned that at the beginning of the show that you were going to ask me about that, I ran through my memory banks and tried to think about what the heck did we do during Masters Week? Because as you know, my 18 years at the Golf Channel was spent producing live golf. So, obviously the Golf Channel had nothing to do with the tournament production of the Masters. So, and I also, because I was with the live tournament team, I didn't work on the news shows either. So, but I was thinking when we first started in the mid-90s, we actually had, at the time, a Nike Tour event, and it was in Florence, South Carolina, the Nike South Carolina Classic. Past champions of that event include the likes of Stuart Sink and Charlie Reimer and my dear friend, and I would highly recommend you getting him on your show, Jerry Foltz, who that was his one tour victory was the South Carolina Classic. But that was what we were doing in the first handful of years of the Golf Channel during Masters Week, because we were working. We were producing and televising a Nike Tour event. And I remember one year, because we wanted to be off the air, the tournament director, Dick Baker, was a little angry with us, but preferred his event to be on TV rather than have it not be on TV. But we always had to finish really early. So they always had to go off in threesomes really early in the morning. And because they wanted to be finished, Golf Channel wanted us to be finished long before CBS came on the air on Saturday and Sunday with the Masters. So, and I think at the time that was still 3 o'clock. I think because that was the mid to late 90s, and I don't think that CBS had extended their air window yet. So we were done by 3 o'clock, and what we would do is go right up to the clubhouse and watch CBS broadcast. And so that was fun. I remember one year really well was the year the Nick Faldo, Greg Norman year, because one of the folks on my team, a young lady who worked for me as an associate producer, was very, very good friends with Greg Norman, and she couldn't have been more excited to go up and watch Greg finish off what was going to be his, crowning glory and winning the Masters, and he ended up, as we all know, blowing a big lead on the back nine, and this person was devastated, as we all were, because we were all, rooting for Greg too, and I never told Nick that story when I started working with him in the in the 2000s that I cheered against him in that Masters, but I'm sure he wouldn't care.
But it's a good memory to bring out that the coverage didn't start until around 3 o'clock on Sunday, because the Masters forever we never saw the front nine at Augusta National. That was sort of a mystery until not all that long ago, because all we would do is pick up the broadcast on the back nine on Sunday. So yeah, that's something that the younger generation doesn't realize.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I know I'm dating myself, but I grew up in a golf family. I was really fortunate. Both my parents played golf, and they taught my brothers and I to play golf, and we would all go out on the weekends and play golf as a family. And Masters Week was always let's go play and then come home so we can get home in time to watch. Now, you never go out to play on the weekend, because with the internet and the coverage that they do such a great job on the Masters app, and, you can watch featured groups and the featured holes and Amen Corner. I mean, that's a great view for me. That's a great viewing experience, because you can pretty much watch, a number of, the top players play their entire round. And it's also a thrill for me, because I get to hear some of my old colleagues and friends like Grant Boone and Billy Ray Brown and folks like that on the broadcast of those featured holes and featured groups in Amen Corner. So it's a lot of fun for me now. But in back in the day, it was just that anticipation of 3 o'clock couldn't come fast enough. You just couldn't wait for for the Masters to come on so you could watch the final holes.
Yeah, and to your point, right, there was no internet back then, so you didn't know who was making a move or what charge was going on and how things were going, until it finally did come on at 3 o'clock to see what happened on the front nine. Did someone fall apart? Did someone make a charge? And all that sort of thing. Because no internet, no coverage, no nothing. You just sort of had to wait and see. So yeah, it certainly was a different time. And as you mentioned how you view it now, and you've got a website, your WordPress blog site, covermeboys.com. You wrote about what your new master tradition is for viewing the tournament. You've alluded to most of it, but do you like being able to go back and forth between Amen Corner and what's happening at 15, 16, who the feature groups are? I mean, are you constantly hitting the back button to see what's going on between station to station?
Well, I'll confess that I'm worse than that. I usually have at least 3 devices going. I have the app. I have Apple TV, so I can, through the app, the Masters app, I can watch all those things on all the television in my house. So what we usually have going is I have the computer set up on one of the streams, and then I have the televisions in our basement / bar / viewing area set up with with CBS, with the Amen Corner, and then with the featured group. So I'm looking at 4 and 5 screens at a time, which, as you know, I've produced golf for more than 20 years, and there's in excess of 70 monitors in the TV truck. So looking at 5 different screens at once is not that big a deal for me. At least in this iteration of my life, I don't have also people yelling in my ear certain things, and I also don't have to be yelling at people in their ears. So I can just sit back and watch and soak it all in. It drives my wife a little crazy because she likes to concentrate on one thing at a time, which is usually the big screen and CBS's coverage. But I like the option of going back and forth and looking at different things at different times. So I take it to the extreme, I guess.
So, having your old producer's hat on while you're watching all of these different screens and the things that are going on, are you happy with what you're seeing? Or do you look at it and go, boy, if they would just do this, I think it would make it better?
I hate to say, they all do such a great job. I mean, it's such an amazing event. And I was lucky enough for a couple of years to be in the truck, for the Amen Corner group and see, Mike Arnold directs that truck, and he comes straight from the NCAA national championship, and a bunch of those guys from CBS. It's the only golf tournament that they do, but they love it, and they're committed to it 100%, and they do a great job. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I was always yelling at the TV, saying, "Why'd you go there?" Or this shot has to be on tape. It had to have happened 10 minutes ago, and why don't you tell me it's on tape? And things like that also, I'm not a whole lot of fun to watch golf on TV with. I'll have to admit that. But for the most part, I appreciate so much how hard a job it is. And I appreciate the hard work that all those guys, the technicians and the graphics people and the folks in the truck and the videotape room, and everybody works so dang hard, and they care so much about the product that, it's just an exciting thing. And if you've ever been in a TV truck, and if you haven't, I'd encourage you to do it the next time you're at an event, because it's a different world, and you'll be blown away. It's really a lot of fun. People say golf is boring on TV. Well, look at golf from inside a television production truck, and you'll never think it's boring again.
So this begs the question now, thinking about this year's tournament, who are you rooting for? What are you hoping to see come Sunday afternoon?
Well, I'm an unabashed Tiger Woods fan. Always have been, always will be. I would love for Tiger to be in contention. I would love it even more if Tiger won. But, this year I think is going to be one of those great events, because so many guys are coming into it playing so well. And as well as I do that golfers are the best athletes. It's the best profession. They're the best professional athletes on the planet. They're all extremely accommodating, very nice, very friendly. They get it. They're fan friendly. And so, I would be thrilled if Justin Rose won. I would be thrilled if Richie Fowler won. I would be thrilled if Rory won and completed the career Grand Slam. But if I'm being honest, I want Tiger to win at least one more Masters and at least one more British Open. And ideally it would be great if he could win 5 more major championships.
So, Keith, thinking about what we saw this past weekend, did you ever think we'd see a women's tournament being played at Augusta National? And how big of an event is that for women's golf?
That was not just women's golf in general. What an amazing event, and what a show they put on. I was fortunate enough to be traveling while it was on. I was on an airplane, and they had it on DirecTV, and I got to watch. I didn't get to hear it, a good 3 hours of it, and the show that Jennifer and Maria put on was just amazing. And the golf course looked great. I thought it was a great message for golf in general. I think that going forward, along with everything that the USGA is doing, everything that the LPGA Tour is doing, it's just it just points to just an amazingly bright future for women's golf and for golf in general. I mean, I think that, across the spectrum, I think people, male, female, young, old, all got a kick out of that great event. And I look forward to it being, a staple and something that I'll watch for years to come.
Keith, just a couple more before we let you go. And I also know what a big Michelle Wie fan you are, and you've known her since she was quite young. I know she's battling back now from another set of injuries. Boy, she just seems like she snake bit with injury after injury. Do you think she's going to be able to make her way all the way back?
Oh boy, I hope so. And you're right. I've always been a big fan of Michelle's, and she's another one that, despite all the hullabaloo and everything that surrounded her in the early stages of her career, she was always so good to us and so accommodating, and did everything that we asked her to do and then some. And I'll always cheer for her. I hope she can get healthy, because I think if she's healthy, then some of that natural ability and that natural fluidity to her game will come back. I think battling all these injuries, I think it's been hard for her to get to feel natural about her golf swing again. And once that happens, I think she'll start winning events and winning major tournaments again. And we were lucky enough to be in Pinehurst when she won her U.S. Women's Open, and that was a great week. And I hope she gets back. I hope she gets healthy. Most of all, I hope she gets healthy. And then, like I said, once she gets healthy, I think she'll be back to form, and she'll be formidable on that tour again. They're playing some tremendous golf out there.
And Keith, with your lovely wife Sarah, now the chief executive officer of the U.S. Olympic Committee, and now we have golf back in the Olympics. Boy, it just seems like not only a wonderful marriage between two wonderful people, but a wonderful marriage between what she's doing and what your past is. Could we see you maybe doing a little something around Olympic golf next time around?
I'll be a fan. I can't wait to go to Tokyo and not only watch the golf, but just experience the Olympic Games up close and personal for really the first time that I can remember. I have pictures of me on my dad's shoulders at the 1960 Winter Games at Squaw Valley. I was 5 years old at the time, but this will be an amazing experience. And, just being around the great folks at Team USA and all the good work that they do and everything that they do for amateur sports and Olympic sports in this country is amazing. And, we're really looking forward to being a part of it when they head to Tokyo in 2020, and you'll definitely see me in the gallery. I think that's the best place for me to be, cheering on the members of Team USA and everybody else that's competing in the event.
Keith, before we let you go, remind our listeners, how can they stay up to date with all the great things you're doing and follow you online, whether it's on your website or over social media?
Yeah, you can find me at KeithHirshland.com or at, as you mentioned, CoverMeBoys.com, which is my blog that I promised that I'll start posting some more things on. I've been a little busy writing books. The books are available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com, a bunch of places now that Beacon Publishing has gotten involved. I'm on Instagram at KHHAuthor, and you can find me on Facebook at Keith Hirshland Author. So I appreciate you letting me say that. And again, Chris, it's always fun being with you. You're one of the best in the business, and I love the conversations that we get to have. And I will always jump whenever you say, "Can you come on the show?"
I can't thank you enough, Keith. I can't wait to read Murphy, and like I say, for anything else, to see how my good friend Matthew Lawrence fares in the book, and weigh in on how accurate it is.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what he has to say coming up next. So I'm looking forward to that.
I appreciate it. Keith, take care, my friend. All the best to you and your wife, Sarah, and your family. Look forward to catching up with you again real soon, my friend.
Thanks, Chris. Enjoy the Masters.
Thank you. You too, Keith. That is the great Keith Hirshland, Hirshland, Hirshland. And again, Cover Me Boys, I'm going in. My all-time favorite book. I can't recommend that highly enough to you. Check out Pig Flies and the Flower Girl Murder. And boy, I'm very excited about two things. A, Murphy, to read that book just to see what a great book it is. And then to see my boy Matthew Lawrence and see what that character looks like. And then I'm going to have my name in book number 5. I tell you what, I'm all tingle about that too. So looking forward to having Keith back on the show again real soon.